So tonight we'll go from the 8th chapter of the Nectar of Devotion, which is entitled Offences to be Avoided. So there are 64 offences in Seva Aparad. There are different types of aparada. Aparad means offence. So this comes under the category of nisheda. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, teaches us about viti. Things that viti means vaiti, means things that we should accept, positive injunctions, and it teaches us about nisheda. Nisheda means negative injunctions, or things you should not do, or things that you should avoid or be careful of in devotional service. So you need to do both in order to become successful as a devotee in Krishna consciousness. Rupa Goswami is quoted in the Shastras that the goal of Krishna consciousness is to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. So viti means those things which help us to remember Krishna, and nisheda means those things which will make us forget Krishna. So these aparadas, these offences in devotional service, they will, if we commit offences, it will cause us to forget Krishna, because it blocks Krishna's mercy towards us. Just like if there's a river flowing and then if they dam the river, then the dam creates a blockage to the natural flow. So in devotional service, if we do not be careful, we will block the mercy which is coming from Krishna, the Deity Prakriti, or the internal potency, and therefore we won't make advancement in Krishna consciousness. You can be doing a lot of service, you can be very sincere, but if you're committing offences, this will block your advancement. So offences are of 4 kinds: Nama Aparad, Vaishnava Aparad, Seva Aparad, and Jiva Aparad. So Vaishnava Aparad, there are various offences to devotees, of which there's mentioned there are 6 like categories of offences, which are there. Basically 3 main categories is offences in the mind, offences through speech, and offences through action. That's the basic definition. Then you have Nama Parad, the 10 Nama Parads which are given, which we recite every morning in the morning program after Mangalati. And then there is Jiva Aparad. Jiva Aparad means to offend any living entity. Prabhupada said a devotee will not even offend an ant. You'll see in the pastimes of Jad Bharat, very good, from the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. You see Jad Bharat, he would not even step on the ants. Another example is Mrigarari, the hunter. After he was converted by Narada to become a devotee, then he would be very careful not to touch the ants. So to harm the ants, the trees, the insects, the birds, the animals, the humans, all this is Jiva Aparad. Then there are Seva Aparad. Seva Aparad means offences while serving the deity. So this is what is covered in this chapter, 64 offences. You have to be very careful about committing offences towards the deity. So as we go, if you have questions, you can ask. In the supplementary Vedic literature, there is the following list of 32 offences in the matter of serving the Lord. Number 1. One should not enter the temple of the deity in a car or palanquin or with shoes on the feet. So this is the first offence. One should not enter the temple of the deity in a palanquin. So this is more of a traditional thing, and it is specifically mentioned in regards to the royal families. For example, the royal families would be carried around in palanquins. You see in the 5th canto, in that pastime of Jad Bharat with Maharaj Rahugana. Rahugana has been carried on a palanquin. You won't find it so prevalent these days. Hands up if you ever came to the temple on a palanquin. Okay, so it's not such a big problem. But don't do it. Don't get carried into the temple like that. So it says here, do not enter the temple. It means if, this is in traditional times, because sometimes the kings or the queens, they would be carried to the temple But when you come in front of the deity, you're no longer the supreme person. You may be the king, but when you come before the deity, you're a minor king compared to Krishna. So if you come before, then you must enter in a humble state of mind. So it says here, you should not have shoes on your feet. So we know this, don't have shoes on your feet when you enter the temple. But we don't wear shoes in the temple, we know that much. As much as possible, the feet should be clean when entering the temple. This will be covered as we go further ahead as well. In most of the temples in India, before you enter into the temple, is a place where you can wash your feet. So you should make sure your feet are clean. Generally, like here in winter, we take off our shoes and then we go in with our socks, like that. So we can't wash our feet, but the traditional system is you actually wash your feet before you go into the temple. So the basic principle is that when you're outside the temple, do not wear shoes, or do not wear your socks around the courtyard, or bare feet around the courtyard. If you come out of the temple, you put shoes on. I see devotees sometimes walking around, from the temple to the kitchen or from the deity room, like that. You should be wearing shoes in between. Because when you're entering the temple, your feet should not be unclean, like that. So at least have a standard of cleanliness when you're entering the temple. Number 2, one should not fail to observe the various festivals for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Janmashtami and Rath-yatra. So it is actually considered an offence not to observe the festivals. So we all observe the festivals, but it doesn't just mean the large festivals, like Janmashtami no one misses, Gopanim no one misses, but it means all of the festivals, even the minor festivals, you don't miss them. You should make every endeavour to be at the festival for the entire duration of the festival, to worship the deities. Now, one example is the Jhulan-yatra, which is coming up soon. It will begin in August this year. So the Jhulan-yatra will run for 5 nights. So as much as possible, you should be there every night for Jhulan-yatra. If you live a long way from the temple, then maybe you can't make it every night, but you should be there as much as possible for the whole festival of that. It's for the pleasure of the deities. If the deity is having a festival, then we should attend the festival and observe the festival. It is for Krishna's pleasure. So it is being mentioned here, do not neglect the festivals. Number 3, one should not avoid bowing down before the deity. So this is important. When you enter the temple, you should bow down before the deity. Now what is the correct order when we enter the temple? What is the correct etiquette, yeah. What is the correct etiquette? What is the correct order in which we bow down? Who to first?
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. So you go to Prabhupada, you offer your obeisances. Right? Now when you offer obeisances, obeisances means 9 parts of the body must be touching the ground. Otherwise it's not considered, and this will come up. Rupa Goswami will mention this in a few more verses. 9 parts of the body. What are the 9 parts of the body which must touch the ground when we offer obeisances? Forehead? Okay. Shoulders. Okay. How will you get your shoulders on the ground? Not your shoulders. It's okay. Super, don't worry. It's okay. Everyone can hear me, but just in the next week, if you can, try to get yourselves. So, forehead, then? Hands, very good. Both hands should be on. Yeah, very good. Elbows, very good.
Legs and knees. Feet and knees.
Feet?
And knees.
And knees, very good. Okay, yeah, that's it. So these are the 9 places of the body. When you offer dandavat or obeisances, whether full obeisances for the men, or the women or the men may offer the crouching position, all 9 parts of the body need to be touching the ground in order for it to be considered full obeisances. Otherwise it's incomplete. That's why Rupa Goswami will say in a few more rules, he'll say do not bow down on one hand. So you have to be bowing down properly. Like like that. Now technically, if we get technical, then when you're bowing down, your thumbs should be crossed like that, technically. And the meditation is when you're bowing, is that your feet are touching, your hands are touching the feet of the personality who you're offering your obeisances to. Okay? So it means that you have your thumbs crossed like that, and then you're touching the feet, and you're meditating, Nama Om Vishnu, but then you meditate on touching Prabhupada's feet. When you go before Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, then that's how you meditate. So that should be the meditation of the devotee. So, as it says here, that when you enter the temple, do not avoid bowing down before the deity. You see, sometimes the devotees, they become slack, or they do not follow the rules properly. Just like devotees think, sometimes they're looking for someone in the temple, so they're lazy. Right? So they put their head in the temple and they look like that through the doors. Like that. And you think, well, I haven't gone in the temple, I don't have to offer my obeisances. So you put your head in, and you say, Hare Bol Prabhupada, Hare Bol Radha Ballava. I'm just looking for someone, have you seen them? It's not the correct etiquette. It means if you see the deity, you must offer your obeisances. It's offensive, and this is mentioned further on. You see the deity, you don't offer your obeisances, you're committing an aparad. Even if you're outside the temple, and through the doorway, if the door opens of the actual deity room and you see in, and you see the deity but you don't offer obeisances, even though you're outside, that's an offence also. Okay? So you have to understand the proper etiquette. So when you enter in, you must offer your proper obeisances. So you go to Prabhupada, then to Gaura-Nitai, because by Gaura-Nitai's mercy, then we approach Radha Krishna, and then Radha Krishna further reveal themselves as Jagannath, Balarama, Subhadra in this temple. So there is an etiquette. So you offer obeisances to each deity like that, and you offer with your 9 places of your body touching.
Prabhuji, sometimes when people pay obeisance, they lie perpendicular to the deity.
What does that mean?
I mean, you know how the deities, we go from that side and go, and they put their feet towards the Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So, when Prabhupada was on the planet, one time he walked into Bhaktivedanta Manor, and the life member was doing that. He was offering obeisances to the... You see sometimes the people come, they offer their obeisances like frontwards towards the deities, or they go down, they bow on the steps, put their head down, they put their rear end towards Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada himself walked into the temple while that was happening. There was only the pujari there, and the people were offering their obeisances the wrong way. When you offer your obeisances to a respectful person, you offer your left side, when they're not physically present anymore. In other words, when the guru has gone into uppercut lila, when the guru is no longer present, you offer obeisances with your left side facing his picture, or his form, his murti. But when the guru is physically present, you offer your right side. Right? That's the correct etiquette. Right? So, Prabhupada, he came into the temple, and this life member was offering obeisances directly to the deity, head first, but the feet were pushing towards Prabhupada's Vyasasana picture. Prabhupada wasn't even there. He just walked in, but his picture was there. So then he walked up to the pujari, and pujari is in the middle of offering the arti, and he said to the pujari, he said, you should be teaching them. This is the point of the temple, it's an educational institution. So sometimes I'm chanting my japa, like in front of the Radha Ballabha, and people come in, and I see them offering the obeisances incorrectly, and I say, Prabhu, I say, come over here. They come over. I say, don't offer your obeisances like this. I said, your rear and your feet are pointing towards Guru. And, you think you're doing the right thing, but actually an offence is being committed. So I say, oh, I'm sorry, I did not know. So then say, okay, do left side. So if you see it and you don't correct it, then you're implicated. So it's your duty to teach these things to the people.
In the temple hall, you can come in and do like that. all of them, they come in.
They do everything.
So it's hard to tell everyone of them. There's so many.
Yeah, so you should teach them. If you're there, if you're physically present, you should teach them. Most of the time there's not so many of them there that you can't point it out. But you should point it out. It's your duty. If you know the correct thing and you don't educate them, then what's the point? Why should they come to the temple? They just put some money in the hundi, they walk out, they don't get any benefit. You have to teach them the etiquette. That's the point. So all these things are important.
Like when we do Guru Puja here in the morning, we are offering puja to Srila Prabhupada, but our back, we are showing our back to Deity. So is that correct?
It's not correct. When Prabhupada was here, sitting on that Vyasasan there, you see there's a video, and Prabhupada actually says before the class starts, all the devotees are sitting with the back towards right. Prabhupada said sit side on. So it should be side on. Back should never be towards the deities. Now I know during the kirtan, during Guru Puja, I know we do that. And I also know that when we turn around we do the kirtan for the deities, our back is towards Prabhupada. I do it myself. But when Prabhupada was physically present, even in the kirtan, he would be sitting up there and the Radha Ballabha was there, everyone would actually face this way when Prabhupada was present. But I've seen now that our spiritual masters, Prabhupada's disciples, my guru, I've seen him, he had his back towards Prabhupada, my guru was describing. And now you'll see when the gurus come, they do kirtan like that. So it's something that we do, but it's definitely something you could consider. But at least when class is going on, at least at that time, then it should not be like that. So it has to be one way or the other. Someone else had their hand?
Is it okay to just sort of marginally turn? So in other words, you're just turning a little bit. In other words, you're not just fully...
Yeah, be conscientious.
It's sort of an etiquette. Yeah. Right.
Be conscious. That's it. Someone else had their hand? Cool.
What about bowing the moment you open the door? The temple door, you open the door, pay obeisances, then go towards Prabhupada, pay obeisances.
Before you approach Prabhupada,
Yes.
as soon as you walk in. Some devotees do that. Some devotees first offer their obeisances to the Vaishnavas. They walk in, first thing they do is they bow down to any Vaishnavas, then they approach Prabhupada, and then you can do like that if you like. Or you can just directly approach Prabhupada and then come around. Any other questions?
Some people take the dust of the step entering the temple, and they touch the...
As they're about to enter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it okay?
Yeah.
And some people do it at the entrance of the temple.
As they're coming up the steps?
Yeah. So that's okay.
Yeah, when I go to India, my spiritual master taught me that when I enter the temples, then we take the dust. All the Vaishnavas, we take their dust in our hand.
So as soon as you put your, the step is there, first step, you should just there.
I don't do it in the West. I do it when I go to India.
Okay.
But I've seen many devotees doing it here. It's nice. It's a nice thing if you like to do it. The other thing they do is when devotees walk in, they put their head against the wall, because Radha Ballabha are on the other side. So that's nice as well.
Ah, okay.
I don't do it personally, but I've seen devotees do it.
From you mean from the outside?
Yeah.
Regarding the observing of the festivals, most festivals are celebrated in the temples around the world. But one of the specific festival about Chandan Yatra festival that is observed, that starts on Akshaya Tritiya, and it's mostly observed in India, in Mayapur, Vrindavan, and some other places, but not in the western side. Probably, especially in Australia, because it's cooler time. What about that?
Chandan Yatra you can do in summertime, not in winter time, because we're in the southern hemisphere. So on the days when it becomes very hot, the one thing about India is the weather's usually consistent. From Akshaya Tritiya, 21 days for Chandan Yatra, it's hot. Pretty much that's the standard. In Melbourne you don't know what's going to happen. So you put the deities Chandan on them when it's 42, that's fine. The next day it's 20. So that's not appropriate. So only do it on the days when it's very hot. And that's okay. One should not enter the temple to worship the Lord without having washed one's hands and feet after eating. So after we eat, you have to wash your hands, your feet and your mouth. It doesn't say that here, but actually that's the standard. Before you can enter the temple. So most devotees know these things. One should not enter the temple in a contaminated state. According to the Vedic scripture, if someone dies in the family, the whole family becomes contaminated for some time, according to its status. For example, if the family is Brahmana, their contamination period is 12 days. For the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, it is 15 days. And for the Shudras, it is 30 days. So according to the Vedic scriptures, it says that when someone dies in the family, you should not enter for a period of time. So hands up if you're a Brahmana. Okay, 2, 3. Hands up if you're a Kshatriya. No Kshatriya? Hands up if you're a Vaishya. Okay, you're Vaishya and Brahmana? That's good.
First I was a Brahman, now I'm Vaishya.
Okay, that's good.
Born as a Brahman.
Okay, hands up if you're a Sudra. Everyone's humble. So the point is, for us to apply this principle, it means we should not go before the deities unless we're in a peaceful state of consciousness. That's the point. You shouldn't go in front of the deities and materially lament. Because actually that's what's taking place. It's material lamentation. So we should not go before the deities in that state. One time, in the very early days of ISKCON, 1966, 67, Brahmananda Prabhu and Gargamuni Prabhu, they'd been out all day, some sort of legal situation was taking place in ISKCON, and they were disturbed in their mind. So they came back after the whole day, they'd been with the lawyers or something, and there's some problem with ISKCON, and at the end they came back and it was the 7 o'clock arti. So they came into the temple and they were in front of the deities, but they were not smiling because they were disturbed by what happened during the day. And Prabhupada said to them, he said, don't come in front of the deities like this. You should always be happy when you're in front of the deities, or meditating upon them in a deep state of consciousness. But if you're materially disturbed, if you're emotional and crying, and don't go in front of the deities. And if you're unhappy, don't go in front of the deities. Don't subject them to what's going on in your material mind. Right? So that's why it says here. Thank you for the support. So that's why it says here that if you go in front of the deities, you should not go for 15 days, 12 days or 30 days like that. We don't follow that in ISKCON. But we should not go before the deities in a disturbed state of mind. That's the point.
If you're not lamenting, if somebody dies, if you're not lamenting, then you can go.
Yeah, then you can go.
If there is no date.
Yeah. The point is you should be in front of the deities for the deities' pleasure. That's the point. So.
In Vedic system, there are so many Indians, they are not, they are married with the Vedic system, not the Hare Krishna system. So, will they consider their in-laws as their relatives?
Sure.
Because they are not married according to Hare Krishna.
I don't really understand the question. I don't think it's so important. So.
But I have seen some people, especially ladies, they coming after their in-law's death or something. In the temple, they don't observe. So is it right?
As long as they're not lamenting in front of the deities, that's the main point.
So the days you said 12 days and 15 days and 30 days.
Yeah, for outsiders they can follow those things.
What do you mean outside?
People who are not in ISKCON, they can follow those things.
And those who are in the ISKCON, if they are not lamenting, that rule doesn't apply.
That's okay.
Okay.
If you're not lamenting, then you can go.
Okay.
If someone dies, but then if you're not showing too much, like overly emotional or unhappy, then you can go in front of the deities.
Alright.
If someone dies, then it's good to be with the deities, because the deities will pacify you and they'll help you.
Alright.
But you should not be in the wrong mood in front of the deities.
I got it.
Yeah, if you're all emotional, then don't go before them. Wait for some time. Okay, one should not bow down on one hand. So you see devotees all the time, they've got their bead bags, offer their obeisances to the deities or to the guru, like that with the bead bag. So you should put your bead bag on the side. You know, in this temple we have like little ledges all around the temple. You walk in the temple, put your bead bag down, offer your obeisances properly, and then pick up your bead bag. Okay. Should be the system. Also, it's said that you see the devotees are like chanting their japa, and then the deity doors will open or Prabhupada's curtain will be taken away after he's been dressed or something. And you see devotees do this kind of bobbing kind of system, you know, where they just kind of lean forward and just like that. It's not a good system. You should offer your obeisances properly. So, you know, put down your beads, adjust yourself properly, offer your obeisances fully with 9 places of the body, and then sit back. Yeah, devotees kind of, we get lazy all the time, that's our problem. As much as we can modify or shorten something or make something easy for ourselves, we'll do that. But we should not do it, we should follow the system properly.
So is that sometimes when we are chanting and in middle of the chant, like the doors open and we have to bow down, so devotees do keep their, in the middle, like put the beads out and then start from there. So is it okay to do that while you're chanting, like you're in the middle of a japa and you leave, you know, on that bead and you know, hang it outside and then take it from there? Is it a bona fide way to do it, or?
It's okay as long as the break is momentary. I've seen devotees in the past, they have like pegs and things. Halfway through the round, so put the peg on, go off and do some service, then come back half an hour later and then start. That is bogus. That is not acceptable. 1 round means 1 round. You should get in the habit of chanting your rounds as much as possible in 1 block. 16 from start to finish, as much as possible. I don't do that. I usually chant in 2 blocks. Usually, most days, 2 blocks. But in the morning, I'll get as many done as I can, and then whatever's remaining, I'll do that in another block. But devotees should not be in the habit of 1 round, then 2 rounds, then 3, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 6. Then it's not a good way to chant. You won't really get into that. Usually most of it takes them a few rounds even to get into the mantra. So what to speak of half a round or 3 beads, or look at the clicker.
When we went into the temple, we have done our lying down, all the deities. When we're chanting, so doors open. Should we do all over again then, or just only 1 word on, or 3 or 3?
It's up to you. At least once.
At least once.
At least once. If you want to do 3.
If there is not much space, if it is crowded, so is it okay just to go down your head? But you can't put upsets.
Have to be practical.
Yeah.
Krishna is very practical.
Yeah.
He's a practical person. We should also be practical. Just like one time one devotee came, as Mukunda Maharaj actually, and it was before he was a sannyasi, late 60s. So then, I think he was at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and Prabhupada was walking towards him, and in England it rains a lot. It's like, wet and rainy like that. So there's puddle there. So he had a suit on, because he'd been out preaching, so he had a nice suit, and he just came back from his preaching, and then he walked, and then Prabhupada suddenly came out and was walking towards him. So then he went to bow down, but there was a puddle there, and he had a nice suit on. So he looked at the puddle, and then he looked at Prabhupada, and then he looked at the puddle, and he looked at Prabhupada, and he was looking, because he didn't, in his mind, Prabhupada could see what was going on. And Prabhupada said, no, do not offer your obeisances. Prabhupada was practical, as if Prabhupada would be impressed if your whole suit in the... Prabhupada was a very practical person. So we should also learn to be practical.
I tell you one thing, Prabhuji. There's some ladies, when they used to do chanting, when they used to leave chanting for a little while, they used to put their hairpin on the in the mala. And your Guru Maharaj really got annoyed with them. He said, do not do this again.
Good.
Jagannath temple in Puri, when you go into the temple, there is always plenty of prasadam on the floor, plenty of water there. Then we had to go there, we had to go down properly there. By the time you come out, all your kurtas and things you went. It's very nice.
Okay, answer. One should not circumambulate in front of the deity of Sri Krishna. The process of circumambulating the temple is that one should begin circumambulating the deity's right-hand side of the temple and come around. Such circumambulation should be performed outside the temple structure at least 3 times daily. So traditionally, in India, you'll see there are parikram paths around the temples. If you go to Vrindavan, most of the temples have a parikram path, like Krishna Balaram Mandir. So you go around the temple 3 times. Very auspicious. Here in Melbourne, you can go around, do the block or something. Just be mindful of the neighbours, that's all. With your japa. Yeah, they don't appreciate it. Especially at 5 in the morning. People are going around the temple like that. So be very conscious. We have neighbours and we have good relationships, so be conscious. But it's very auspicious to go around the outside of the temple. It says, do not circumambulate in front of the deity. Particularly that means other people, other persons. That's why you'll see Tulsi Arti. We do Tulsi Arti and we circumambulate after the deity's curtains are closed. That is the system. Even Tulsi Devi herself should not circumambulate in front of the deities. Like that. So this is what it means. Don't circumambulate in front. And Prabhupada, because in Mayapur, every morning Prabhupada used to circumambulate Radha Madhava, and they still do it now. In Mayapur, if you go for the morning program, they take Prabhupada's murti off the altar, and then they go around like that. So they go around Radha Madhava. But when Prabhupada was physically on the planet, every time they came in front of Radha Madhava, he would spin around, and then he would keep going around. So if you're in Mayapur, for example, and you're going around the deity inside the temple, then you pivot around. Somehow Prabhupada, that must negate the circumambulating process or something like that. They do that still now. When they take Prabhupada's murti, they do a circle and they keep going.
Prabhu, I have one question. Circumambulation. In the Vedic culture, they have some kind of a pujas and all those. In that, they say that we have to, they can't go out. It's just they don't have the place to circumambulate the deity outside. So when they finish the puja, they have to circumambulate in front of Krishna, thinking that Krishna is in the center. You circumambulate. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's what it's getting to. Like if you're doing that kind of circulating in front of the deities, then Prabhupada would always do that circle. So I'm not sure.
Circle means like in
the general system is you go around the temple from the outside. That's the general system.
But in the home, when there's a deity and we are doing puja, at the end of the puja, we have to circumambulate. But that time we can't circumambulate outside, so
you go around the block.
You just circumambulate. No, because of the puja, you shouldn't be going out and all.
And do it in your mind.
Mind, you shouldn't circumambulate in the room like that.
Not unless you can physically go around the deities. Then. Not so necessary. In your mind, you can do it.
When you say you start from the right side, in this temple, where should we start?
Means that if you're going around the deities from the outside.
Yeah, I mean, you said to circulate the temple. So, from where do you start? From the...
Start from the front gate?
The front, but the deities are not the front there. The deities are facing east. So, should we start from the...
Whenever you circumambulate someone, you keep your right to their, that's how you circumambulate.
Right side.
Your right side. When you circumambulate Tulsi, like that, your right's always to the person. When you go around Govardhan Hill, or when you go around the temple, you're always doing with your right side. That's considered respectful. If you circumambulate someone with your right side, that's respectful. If you circumambulate with your left side, that's considered disrespectful.
No, that's the dead body will be.
Okay. One should not spread his legs before the deity. So I think we mentioned this the last couple of weeks. Don't put your legs out in front of the deity or any superior person. Right? Someone who is more superior than you, don't put your legs out in front. Prabhupada would actually correct devotees if they put their legs out in front of Tulsi Devi. Prabhupada would say, put your leg back. So if your leg is sore, then you stand up instead. Go to the back. One should not sit before the deity holding the ankles, elbows or knees with one's hand. Right? So don't be in front of the deities like this. You know, and sometimes you see, like during the arati, some Indian people, they're just like, you know. It's not very good. You know.
They're judging Krishna.
Yeah, you don't stand in front of your guru and it's like, you know. Yeah, so it says don't put your hands on it says on the knees, it means don't be casual in front of the deities, be respectful. You hear Prabhupada on the japa tape, you know, when Prabhupada's chanting japa, sit properly every morning. Yeah, you listen to the japa, it comes around every 7 minutes. Sit properly. You know, Prabhupada says it every morning, sit properly. Like that, so sit properly. Be respectful in front of the deities. Don't be casual in front of the deities.
A lot of people go to the temple, they do like this, like that, like this, like this.
When they come in the temple.
Yeah, they kiss the floor. So should we tell them not to do it?
Please.
Why don't you do this is how my father takes me like this, they do.
We'll get to it, it's coming up. That's why I haven't mentioned it yet. But it does come up. So. Okay. One should not lie down before the deity of Krishna. So don't lie down in front of the deities. Sometimes, occasionally you do see people just kind of lie down or get casual, or it's not appropriate. Be very careful. Or you see, like, you know, people in Bhagavatam class, you know, people lean on the pillow, you know, like at the back. You know, it's like, what is your attitude? I've seen devotees sit there in the class, just leaning on the pillow at the back, just like. It's not respectful. It's not respectful. Bhaktivedanta Swami would actually correct the devotees. He would say, do not lean. You know, if someone's got a really bad back problem, okay, then sit, you know, with their back, it's okay. But generally, don't get lazy. You know, be very conscious where you are. Everything you do in front of the deities, even when the doors are closed, you should be the same in the Bhagavatam class. See, sometimes the doors in the Bhagavatam class are not very good. The etiquette should be good. So, someone put their hand.
Yeah, actually, I was attending another course, and it was indicated in that course, but sitting like this, even in any mundane course, and specifically in the spiritual atmosphere, it directly indicates that that person is not at all receptive. So
it can mean that.
Yeah,
it can.
The main thing is like usually even in the yoga, normal other yoga, we keep our hand like this, so that because we are receptive. Similarly, we should have an open posture, not like this, because that directly indicates we are not receptive.
Yeah, I mean, if you study body language, this usually means someone's defensive. So that means they may be receptive, but they may be defensive. Or they could be, as you say, they're not interested. But it can also, they could just be cold. Sometimes people might think because they're cold, so it doesn't mean they're not receptive and not warm. Other people, sometimes they're listening very carefully, but it means they're defensive, they're not submissive to what you're saying. So it means different things.
Also can be a nervous disposition as well, so it's not necessarily intended, you know. It could be just a habit or something.
Sometimes kids, they lie in the temple room. So is it okay for them, or no, we should correct?
No, the children should be taught etiquette in the temple. It's not a playground. You know, the kids, they should be, like, you know, at the farm, sometimes the kids are in there. If I'm giving a class and they start lying down, I said, hey, don't mind it, you're in the temple. Krishna's here. Like that. So if they need to lie down, they can go outside. We have now, at the farm in the back room, like the kids' room, we have the speakers there. So the mothers can go in, they can listen. So we really need that at this temple. Something we've talked about for years. There really needs to be a speaker system so the mothers can go and take their children, they can do what they want. Okay. One should not accept prasad before the deity. So if you get prasad, don't eat it directly in front of the deity. It should go to the side. In this temple, you shouldn't do it anywhere because the nature of the temple is that everywhere is in front of the deity. So if you get any maha-prasad, you should take it outside. But in the temples in India, people get prasad, like in Radha Govinda temple in Jaipur, they get prasad, but they'll go around the back of the deity's altar and they'll take. Prasad means like a little bit of prasad. Not like in ISKCON, prasad means.
In Govindaji Mandir in Jaipur, they are distributing the laddu prasadam in front of everybody. Always.
Yeah, distributing's okay, but not taking it in front of
Everybody's eating, in the front of
Whose deity is that?
Radha Govindaji.
Yeah, whose deity is it?
Yes.
Rupa Goswami, who wrote this? Right? So it means they don't understand Rupa Goswami's. That's why he wrote it. You should not eat in front of the deity, it's not respectful.
Even drinking water is also not permitted, no? Even drinking water also?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, I mean, it's Krishna's there, you don't sit in front of Krishna just, have a drink.
True, actually, if you think Krishna is your friend or if you think Krishna is your brother, if you think Krishna is your father.
You can think Krishna's whatever you want.
Then if you have that
You can think
mood,
Krishna is your older brother, but the older brother will smack you in the head. Very soon. So do whatever you want in front of the deity, but when he hits you, don't be upset. There's one person who was taking darshan, in Mayapur. We have our Jagannath Balaram Subhadra. What's that called? Rajpur? Rajpur. So one person was there, one little boy, taking darshan of the deities. So no one was around, so he snuck up to take one of their brooches, and Balaram went, hit him in the head. Ran off the altar. So do what you want, but be ready.
What about during festivals? Because sometimes you can be in the temple for three hours for singing chanting, no work for 3 minutes can be a problem.
Yeah, that's practical. Yeah, that's practical. Yeah, if you're sitting here for 3 hours, there's like an abhishek and everything, and you need water, then you take a little. Krishna's not going to chastise you. But it means don't just sit there and have, if you're giving Bhagavatam class, we're permitted to drink some water if the speaker needs to drink. But it's not that everyone should just be eating and drinking, it's not respectful. Okay. One should never speak a lie before the deity. Don't speak a lie in front of the deity. Don't say something which is untrue. You'll get reactions. Guaranteed. One should not talk very loudly before the deity. No? Everyone does this. You see after Bhagavatam class, Saturday morning, then everyone just starts talking. It's not appropriate. If you want to talk, go outside. Right? The only thing that should be discussed in front of the deity is Krishna Katha. It means we speak the Bhagavatam. But all this extra talk, it should be done outside. It's disrespectful. This one's an important one, because devotees do this all the time. One should not talk with others before the deity. One should not cry or howl before the deity. So you shouldn't go before the deity get all emotional. That's what the other point was. Don't go before the deity and start crying and doing all this emotional stuff. In Vrindavan, in India, sometimes you see Sahajiya people, they come in before the deities, they begin to roll around on the ground in front of the deities, cry, and they do all this thing. So then they went to Prabhupada and they said, what should we do? Prabhupada said, kick them in the head. So the next time it happened, one of the devotees went up and kicked him in the head. And then everyone got very angry, and they all, it was a big fight. And then they went to back to Prabhupada, and they said, Prabhupada, someone was rolling on the ground, so one of the devotees kicked him in the head. Prabhupada said, I did not mean it literally. We have to be mature. Prabhupada would say things, kick him in the head, or Prabhupada would say those things. I kick on your face. Prabhupada would say those things. But we have to be mature in applying the Guru's instructions. It's like kicking people. But the point is, we should not be artificially emotional in front of the deities. If tears come naturally, because Giriraj Maharaji wrote to Prabhupada one time, he said, whenever I see the deities in the arti, not whenever, but when I see the deities sometimes in the arti, Radha Rasa Bihari, he said, tears come to my eyes. Prabhupada said, this is very good. This is what should be happening. Tears should become. It should not be artificial. That's the point.
Prabhu, can I ask one question regarding that? Prabhu, if we have any problem, we will tell only Krishna, no Prabhu, and how we will not cry in front of him, Prabhu?
Yeah, but it should be intimate. It should be intimate. It shouldn't be like a big show and everyone sees it and it's causing a disturbance.
At home, I'm saying, like.
Yeah, at home you can do whatever you want to do.
But can we cry? It will giving him distress.
If it's sincere, if it's real, then that's okay. None of it's artificial. One should not quarrel or fight before the deity. Never should be any arguments in front of the deities. One should not chastise anyone before the deity. So if you have to point something out to someone, then take them outside. You know, if someone's done some mistake or something and you need to correct them, then take them outside and correct them. Not in front of the deity. Especially these days, because people do not like to be corrected. Usually if you correct someone these days, they'll immediately say something back, and it's not pleasant if it turns into an argument in front of the deities. One should not be charitable to beggars before the deity. So when you're in front of the deity, if someone comes up to you, especially in India, someone will say, give me something, then not in front of the deity, it's not appropriate. That person should not be doing it, and you should not be giving any charity. The mood is you're in front of the deity, Krishna is the maintainer. He's the one who will maintain people. If people really have a problem, they should come before Krishna. If they don't have money, they should go to Krishna and say, I don't have money, please maintain me, and he will maintain you.
See, Prabhuji, one day there was a class going on Sunday evening, and there was this boy, and he was very close to the deity room, and he was putting his back towards the deity. So I went all the way just to tell him, please don't sit this way. And he was quite good, but was it wrong for me to go and tell him?
It's okay, as long as you're not going to cause a disturbance to the class.
No. I just told him very mildly that please don't sit facing the back towards the deity. And he was quite nice. He said he didn't.
Yeah, just don't, like if someone's giving class and you start walking all around the temple telling people, it can be distracting. So.
No, I wasn't distracted.
No, but I'm just saying. You're a good girl.
Not really.
Not really? It's not very good. We should speak out to the class.
Trying to.
Okay, one should not speak very harshly to others before the deity. So, same principle, in front of the deity, do not chastise. One should not wear a fur blanket before the deity. So you should not go before the deity wearing fur or anything, leather, anything which is made from animal products actually. Devotees shouldn't wear leather. Should not wear leather. Like that. I don't wear leather. Japa Swami is very particular about this point, about devotees being ahimsa. That these days there are so many good shoes and things which are not made of leather. So you don't need to wear leather. Your belts, you can get, they make everything these days. So you don't need to wear leather, actually. So especially in front of the deity, it's actually offensive if you're wearing leather, or fur, or skin, or something which is made from an animal product. It's not appropriate. And you'll see, I've seen people wear leather jackets into the temple, like that. It's not appropriate. Maybe don't correct them directly in front of the deity, but outside, maybe if you can explain to them nicely, You have to be careful, but just explain to them, say this is not appropriate in front of the deities. One should not eulogize or praise anyone else before the deity. So generally, we should follow etiquette in front of the deity, which means we should not praise others in front of the deity. If you see another devotee you haven't seen for a long time, you shouldn't offer your obeisances to them in front of the deity. Even the spiritual master, you should be conscientious in front of the deity about offering your obeisances. If the deity doors are closed, that's different. But generally, you should be conscientious in front of the deity. Now, particularly, for example, in Mayapur, like it's a big temple room, I've seen His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, like when he's, people, when the sannyasis walk around and they offer their obeisances, then people quite often touch their feet. Especially in India, it's very prevalent. You see, like when Jayapataka Swami offers his obeisances, devotees start going around and go like that. So I remember one time in Mayapur, he was in front of Radha Madhava and he offered his obeisances, and then afterwards he gave class and he said, because devotees were doing that, they were touching his feet, and he said that is not appropriate in front of the deity. He said outside the temple, then maybe you can touch the guru's feet, but not generally when the guru is offering obeisances. That's not generally the time that you do it. Generally you should do it when you're offering your obeisances to him. Like if you come before the spiritual master, then you offer your obeisances, you can touch the feet at that time. Now it's an important etiquette that women should not touch the sannyasi's feet. You have to understand this, don't touch. I've seen Jayapataka Swami sitting here and having Guru Puja, and some of his female disciples touching his feet as they came up to get cookies and offer flowers. And he said at the end of the kirtan, the Guru Puja, he said, do not touch the sannyasi's feet. It's not the system. Like that. He said, you touch your husband's feet. He said the husband will touch the guru's feet and the wife will touch the husband's feet. That is the system. So when you are in front of the guru, then do not touch his feet unless you are in, if you're offering your obeisances to him, then you can go and directly touch his feet. That is acceptable. But if he is offering his obeisances, for example, you should not act inappropriately like that. But it's actually part of the etiquette of worshipping the spiritual master is that you should touch his feet when you see him. That is the system. Unless he is otherwise. Or even a sannyasi or a senior Vaishnava, you can touch the feet when you offer your obeisances. Actually, that's what we're doing. When we offer our obeisances and we're bowing down, as we said before, actually you're meditating like that. So if that person's directly in front of you, the system is that you're, traditionally speaking, you're actually touching their feet. But you have to see that they are allowing it. What is their mood? Right? When Prabhupada was in India, when he was in public, like sometimes you do a pandal program, and there'd be thousands of people, and afterwards Prabhupada would be walking through, thousands of people trying to touch his feet. Then Prabhupada would make his disciples stop everyone. He said, because they're just giving me their karma. That's the idea. They just think, I touched the saintly person's feet, all my karma's gone. It's true. But even Prabhupada, he would get sick. All these non-devotees just coming up and touching the feet. So, you touch the feet of the guru, but it should be done with his approval, so to speak. When I used to see my spiritual master, sometimes I would offer my obeisance, I would put my head on his feet, right? I would touch his feet like that when I'm offering obeisances. But it means generally when it was just him and I, like that. If there's lots of devotees around, don't go and hold the guru up by, holding onto his feet. And you can do it, but be conscientious of his mood. That's the point.
See, Prabhuji, in the morning in a Bhagavatam class, sometimes all the devotees are sitting and the temple room is open, in the curtain, and some sannyasi or senior Maharaj comes to give the lecture, Bhagavatam. So how should we, what should we do?
Yeah, at that time you can offer your obeisances, that's okay.
In front of the deity?
That's okay. And also when you're directly worshipping the deity, and Prabhupada points this out, that if you're worshipping the deities in the temple, you should be touching their feet before you begin the worship. You put your head on their feet. That is one of the great benefits of doing the deity worship. If you're worshipping the Chota deities, then you touch their feet and you touch it to your head. But if you're worshipping Radha Ballabha or Gaurnitai or Jagannath Balaram Subhadra, you can actually put your head on their feet. That's one of the benefits of becoming second initiated in ISKCON. You can directly put your head on the feet of the deity. That's the system. That's what it means. That's the actual system. To do like that. One should not eulogize or praise anyone else before the deity. Is that how I go into that? Where's the last one? Okay. One should not speak any ill names before the deity. So do not call anyone any names. If you're in front of the deities, then be conscientious. One should not pass air before the deity. Particularly, this means in the deity room itself. Particularly, right? It's an offence if you're doing the puja, if you're dressing the deity or bathing the deity, and you pass air in front of them. It's quite an offence. So then one will say, well, what can I do? Right? The main thing is you should regulate your eating. That's the thing. If you're regulated in your eating, then you won't have so much flatulence or so much air passing like that. If you're irregular in your habits, if you're eating too much of the wrong things, if you're not controlling your tongue, then that's when these problems take place. So it means more in the actual deity room, but even in the temple room you should be conscientious. Like that. If you have a problem with this, because devotees do have problems, then regulate your eating. And you'll see the problem will improve dramatically, like that. Especially it means, if you're having this problem, then fast. By fasting you'll clear out a lot of the irregularity in the arm and the undigested food and those things, and then start fresh and control yourself. Especially directly in front of the deity, it's offensive. One should not fail to worship the deity according to one's means. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the Lord is satisfied if some devotee offers him even a leaf or a little water. This formula prescribed by the Lord is universally applicable, even for the poorest man. But that does not mean that one who has sufficient means to worship the Lord very nicely should also adopt this method and try to satisfy the Lord simply by offering water and a leaf. If he has sufficient means, he should offer nice decorations, nice flowers, and nice foodstuffs, and observe all ceremonies. It is not that one should try to satisfy the Supreme Lord with a little water and a leaf, and for himself spend all his money on sense gratification. So this means, especially when you're worshipping the deity in your home, don't just offer the deity, a few nuts and a few sultanas. Right? And then the rest of the family eats rice and sabji and like that. It's not appropriate. So the point is that whatever you are taking, that should be the prasad of the deities. And you should be offering the deities the best thing that you can offer according to your means. So, if we're cooking at home, it means we can't eat curd pakoras every night. You can, but your body may or may not be able to digest that. So the deities, they can eat that all the time, but for yourself, you should be eating probably. So it means that everything you're eating should be offered to the deities. Now the point is that if you cannot offer opulent food, like in the temple we offer very opulent food to the deities, because we're in the temple, so that is the system. But when you're offering at home, you may not offer that same level of opulence, because then you have to take it and it may not be appropriate for you. So it means that the plate, for example, that you're offering the deity, it should be made of the most opulent material that you can offer the deity. So then the highest you would consider, or one of the highest, would be gold. To have a gold plate. Generally, because can be a little expensive, generally the grihastas, it's recommended they offer on silver for the deities. So if you have nice silver plates like that, then that's considered a very opulent offering. Even if the bhoga may be a little more simple, because you have to eat just rice and sabji because you have some dietary restrictions, but at least you should make it as opulent as possible for the deity.
Sometimes, like at home, we have like programs at some devotee's place, so we may not be able to cook whatever the time constraint. So then that time can we offer nuts or fruits, and then obviously we'll be having a good feast someone's place.
Because you're going out to someone else's place.
Yeah, because of some home programs or Sunday feast. Is that it?
Yeah, that means offer the deity, worship the deity to the best of your ability. That's the point. Don't take shortcuts with Krishna. Yeah, would you offer your kids just nuts and fruit? So you should see that as much as possible, worship them nicely, as much as possible. And yeah, that's the point. The point is that it should be as opulent as you can possibly do. Sometimes you have to be a little practical, but don't make it a regular habit that you're doing like that. You should have, when the deities are installed in your house, there should be a standard which is developed from the very beginning, and you should maintain that standard. That's the point. One should not eat anything which is not offered first to Krishna. So that's the point. Everything you eat, it should be offered first to. Right? That's an offense. Right? If you get something and you don't offer it to Krishna, then you're eating bhoga. Now you have to understand what you can offer to Krishna. Krishna, he will not accept food or grains which are cooked by non-devotees. So your wheat bix and your cornflakes, which you have in the morning, I wouldn't be offering that to your deity. Even though that's what you eat for breakfast. I wouldn't offer it to the deity. Not that. Because sometimes the grihastas, they eat breakfast cereal, or they eat biscuits, or they eat bread, which is cooked by the non-devotees. But I wouldn't be offering that to the deity. Like that. I personally never offer those things to my deity. I never offer him, Kellogg's cornflakes, with bhakti.
Milk.
Milk you can offer.
Yeah, milk you can offer, that's not a problem. But don't offer grains which are cooked by non-devotees to the deity. That should be the standard. So it says he should only eat prasadam.
I have a very important question. Because I've been for a long time, I did not know what to do. See, we are making the dough for the dosa and everything, dosa or idli. And then what happens is the first day we take the dough and then we make the dosa or idli and then we offer to Krishna. So then what happens? The dough is cooked the dough stays for 2 days at least minimum. So for the next day, I do not know whether we can take the same dough and then again make the idlis and again offer to Krishna. So there's a way of it.
Depends on the consciousness. Because Prabhupada said both ways. If you're offering it, and when Prabhupada said at our restaurant, say like Gopal's, you cook in the morning or one of the catering events, so we're cooking pots of rice all day. So we don't offer every pot of rice. We make one offering in the morning, and then for the rest of the day, even we cook another pot, that's considered prasad. Prabhupada said that. So when you're home, it just depends what your mentality is. If you're making and then you're in the mentality, okay, now this is prasad, then whatever you make, that's prasad. If the mentality is that it's not offered to Krishna, then it's not offered to Krishna.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. So for example, we make the batter for 3 days. Okay?
Yeah.
3 days. So today I offer to Krishna.
That's what I'm saying. So when you're offering that, then your whole mentality is the rest of that, when I make it, that will be offered. It's the consciousness. If you're in your mind, if you've already offered it all to Krishna, whatever comes from this, what I've made, then whatever doshas you made or whatever idlis you made, that's for Krishna, then it's all prasad. Right? But if you don't have that mentality, just think whatever portion I use today, then that is prasad.
Yeah, that is prasad.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
we
it's
can
up to
think
you.
like that. Okay.
When you split the dough in 3 ways, take so much out, then
So like if I get the milk from the fridge, right? Sometimes I offer Krishna a cup, but my mentality, because I know other people are going to be like my mother's staying or something, So I think, okay, she's going to come to the fridge all day, take the milk, put it in the cup of tea.
Yeah.
So my mentality, I take 1 cup of milk from the milk, but my mentality is that whole 1 litre is offered to Krishna. So that's all prasad. But then if she's not there, it's just me in the house, then maybe I'll take a cup for breakfast, and then next day I'll take another cup, but that's bhoga. So in your mind, if you've offered it, it's offered. If you haven't offered it, it's not offered. Etiquette?
If you offer milk every day to Krishna, we have to take from the same bottle, we have to offer them every day. You know?
Some people they don't use the bottle.
I just
We have
answered.
to have 1 bottle every day, then in Krishna we have to offer milk every day. We offer every day. So means we take so much, we offer, then we take so much, we offer. Otherwise you have to have 5 bottles which you can't drink. We can take so much out.
I just answered the question.
There's a Prabhupada letter where he was talking about, I think, I'm not sure if it was the letter, but more of a conversation he was talking about restaurants, and he said you can offer in the morning, and you can cook batches during the day, so to speak. It's still considered to be part of that.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Same thing. Thank you both for helping. Okay. One should not fail to offer fresh fruit and grains to Krishna according to the season. So Krishna wants to eat seasonally. That's the problem with the world these days. When Prabhupada first got to America, they had frozen vegetables. And when Prabhupada saw it for the first time in 1965, he thought, oh, very nice. You can get vegetables from anywhere. But then when Prabhupada cooked them and offered them to Krishna, he said they're all rotten. He said it's not good quality. So Prabhupada did not like frozen things. You should be offering fresh things which are seasonal. So as much as possible you should be offering things from this part of the world, like mangoes are from Queensland and bananas are from Queensland. I mean, of course we do offer these things to Krishna, but the best is when you grow it yourself. That's the best. You know, if you're attached to mangoes, you should go and live in Queensland. But you can offer anything to Krishna, but it's better that you offer things which are seasonal. And particularly if you're in India, where there's so much variety and there are seasonal things, you offer the seasonal things to the deities. Yeah, when Chiku comes. Anyone had Chiku? Like that. So when Chiku comes, then you offer that to the deity. It's very nice. Or when mangoes first come, then you offer them to the deities like that. It's very nice. It's mixed up now in the world because you can get anything anytime. So. Okay. After food has been cooked, no one should be offered any foodstuff unless it is first offered to the deity. So when the food is cooked, it must be first offered to Krishna. Now Prabhupada actually said when we had the first deities in ISKCON were installed, who were the first Radha Krishna deities in ISKCON? The first deities of Radha and Krishna in ISKCON, who were the first?
London
Yeah, London Ishwara. Radha London Ishwara. So when Prabhupada installed Radha London Ishwara, they made the offering, but the things were running a little bit late. Sometimes happens in ISKCON. Things are running a little bit late. So then they were just made the offering to Radha London Ishwara behind the curtains, but the program was running late and all the guests were outside, and Prabhupada noticed they were getting restless, and that some people may have been leaving. So even though the plate had just gone onto the altar, Prabhupada said, start making up plates and serving everyone prasad. Okay. But the point is that first has to be offered to Krishna. So generally the standard is, the offering has to be made, offered to Radha Ballabha, their plate comes off, their plate is washed and dried, and then the prasadam is distributed. You see sometimes stories, especially the 7 o'clock offering, right, there's a frenzy in the kitchen, everyone goes into the temple. We should get into that one, we haven't got into it tonight. But you shouldn't even be taking the offerings before it has come out of the kitchen. You see devotees do this whole thing, they all go into the kitchen, they all start taking like that. But it's actually not the etiquette. And it's not appropriate for you to go in your non-devotional attire into the kitchen. And all these things are not appropriate. So the point is that first must be offered to Krishna, and the system is that the plate must come off, the plate must be clean, then you can have something when it comes out and it's distributed properly, like that. But it's hard to enforce these things.
But if you are in a hurry, then you can, you know how we did in London. So if you are in a hurry, then you can give to others. I mean,
Yeah.
first give to the Lord.
Yeah, but it has to be sanctioned by Prabhupada or someone who's seen the devotee.
Prabhu,
How will you get the sanction?
where is this coming from? Like the plate should be washed before it is offered?
Before someone starts to take. That's just etiquette. That's just etiquette. It's like if you're serving the guru. Like, you know, when I remember my spiritual master used to finish. So it was a standard amongst all of us. We wash his plate first, then we, like, you know, you don't leave the plate sitting around for hours, or it's not appropriate. You know, you've got a respectful person there, the guru or the deity, like that. So then you wash their plate. You know, you look after them first, then you can go and start doing it. Okay, so we'll stop there. Nick, there's another 32 items. So next week, if you're interested, hands up if you'd like to hear the second 32. Okay, so come next week and we'll do the second 32 items on offences to be avoided. If you have any more questions, you can ask next week. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.